Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's show is the first episode of Choices, Finding Your Joy. I am your host, Paula Vail, and I am so excited to share with you an amazing guest, a beautiful lady. Her career and what she has done for others in the world is so consistent to the theme of this new show, Finding Your Joy. I am so happy to welcome today Kristen Eykel, who has an amazing background from a international model to working in TV, working with the Oprah channel. She's a Reiki master teacher, yoga expert. She helps women with the most important, beautiful thing of their life, giving birth. So I just want to say, welcome, Kristen, to the show. I'm so honored to have you kick this show off for us.
Yay, Paula Vail. I am so honored and excited to be on this new platform with you and really celebrating what that means of finding your joy and having that be part of the choice that we all make, right? Finding joy is absolutely a choice. So I love that that's the name of your new show. Thank you for letting me be participating with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about you. And I do want to share to everyone something very fun. Kristen was my first guest on my Voice America show 2.5 years ago, and we became great friends, and I'm so grateful. And so, of course, I had to have Kristen on the show, the kickoff show today. Kristen, but please share with the listeners and the viewers a little bit about your background and what brought you to where you are today.
So I can't believe it's been 2.5 years since you first started your other show. I mean, the trajectory is just amazing. So it's really exciting to witness that and honor that. So thank you. My trajectory and really becoming a teacher and actually declaring myself as a teacher, it took some time. I started off as a student like most everybody else. I was modeling in Paris and life was, it was big. It was a big life. And it was, sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the late 80s in Paris. I mean, it was a full on experience. And while I wouldn't trade it for anything, and it deeply made me who I am today on many levels and educated me profoundly on what matters to me and what my voice could be. At the same time, it caused me to have to dig really deep when things were challenging. I had, nervous breakdowns and panic attacks and was starving myself and, was really trying to conform to what other people's identification for me should be. And as a result of learning to work within that framework of starting to identify my own voice, learning to have choices with who I was going to be rather than a default of who I thought I needed to be, I began to dig deeper into yoga, and that became sort of my first teacher was a book of yoga, and it offered me this opportunity to learn about my body, not as a commodity, but as a blessing, as this tactile experience in this world that helps me to interface with the world, not just as a piece of meat that's got a price tag on it. And so I had to sort of separate those pieces out for myself. And I began studying North and South American shamanism, and Reiki became, part of my journey at that time. And I began training as a hypnotherapist. And so in the early 90s, that's when this whole confluence of these wonderful practices came together for me. And they were really a side channel to my work in television, to hosting, and I was a VH1 VJ. And so I was still working in the big world, but I had this deep spiritual bed underneath me that was personal. And it became a choice for me as I got older and my children got a little older and my needs within my family changed, to begin to really invest myself in standing up and not just being a student forever, but actually declaring myself as a teacher. And so whenever we hold space, whenever we choose to step out of the role of being the student and step into the role of being the teacher, we have to up our game. We have to totally up our game. And so I've been investigating that for myself and looking at ways that I can not only up my game, but do so in the context of supporting other people and upping their game as well. And allowing people to remember that they have a choice into who they are. And our world reflects that. Our world reflects the choices we've made. Oftentimes we make choices out of would-haves or could-haves or should-haves, or my mother told me, or my government told me, or my best friend told me, or my religion told me, or my desire for this sort of aspect. I think that's what it should be. None of that has any relevance unless you feel that that's your choice. Otherwise, it's a default mechanism. It's kind of like you're just following along this, cult of personality without really thinking about what it means. And so I'm constantly in that framework with many of my clients, and I do work primarily with women. Pregnancy is this wonderful opportunity for women to really get that they have some powerful choices to make all of a sudden, like, wow, I got to wake up because the way I was living my life doesn't work anymore. Yeah. But it also works I work a lot with millennial young women as well, and as well as women coming kind of, as their fertility is changing. So we have this ebb and flow of who we are, and we get to constantly keep reinventing ourselves. We come into our life as a young woman with this fire, this idealism, and yet that sense of feeling, the sense of conformity that our parents want us to have. And then coming into our time of fertility, where we start to really discover, who do I want to be as a mother? What is at stake for me? My identity as a wife, or as a business person, or as a creative person, or as a selfish person. Like, how do I take all those parts and honor them without disenfranchising any of them? And then coming into that shift when our children start to get older, and we now have a different responsibility to ourselves as well as to our families. So all of those times of our life cause us to make choices. And so I think it's coming to awareness with those choices and having perspective within those choices, not based upon our past or who we used to be, but based upon who we are now, and letting our identification catch up to who we are now. Because if you're making choices as a 40-year-old based upon your 14-year-old, you're not making very empowered choices. You're making relatively immature choices, right? You're going to, try to please daddy, or you're going to, try to be the good girl or whatever, or like ignore people, like trying to identify yourself and being the rebel, like whatever, but you're making it out of a choice that you made 30 years ago.
Yes.
So, right. So we need to keep upping our game and keep, being in that investigation of our choices.
Powerful message, Kristen. And, it really tells me and makes me just feel that we have so much power in the fact we can make our own choices.
Yes.
We don't have to let others make our choices. We have that power, and love ourselves and listen to our intuition and where our heart tells us to go. What do you think along that line?
I think that's really the only guide we have.
Mm-hmm.
The only guide we have is that voice within. And how many times and we've all, we can raise our hands, we've all done this, where we'll start to get a knowing and we're like, oh, we'll poo-poo that knowing away. Like, oh, I don't need to take an umbrella. It's a sunny day. Like, it's going to be beautiful. That's just, I don't need to. And the voice just keeps saying, take an umbrella. Come on, take it. And you're like, oh my God, I don't need to. And then later you find out that the voice wasn't asking you to take the umbrella because it was going to rain. The voice was telling you to take the umbrella because it was going to be 117 degrees and you were going to be standing in a line in the sun for an hour.
Yes.
So we have to listen. And later, like, shoot, I should have brought the umbrella. Well, we all have that place where we start to know that we know things, and then we start to really honor and listen to them. And I think that that's the first step in making appropriate choices, is listening when that voice is like knocking on the inside of your head, to invite it in and truly listen to what it has to say. And don't discount it because your rational mind is saying, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's not a rainy day and we don't care. We'll wear suede, whatever. Like,
yes,
let ourselves listen first. We all chat and relatively are a little retarded on the listening. We're too slow on how we allow ourselves to listen. And it's only later that we look back and say, oh, there was information there that I didn't pay attention to in the moment. So allowing those two moments to come closer and closer together, to become present in this moment, will allow you to make a more empowered choice.
Yes, yes. And would you say when we can make choices towards goals, towards things that make us happy, that do bring us joy, we are empowering ourselves, and we need to look at what makes us happy and what brings us joy, and not be afraid to go after that.
That's really beautifully said, and it's precisely true, because if we're making choices based upon an outside set of circumstances, pleasing someone else at the detriment of ourselves, then we're not serving them. It's kind of like going to your best friend who's just found out that her dog died and say, oh my God, my dog's going to die too. Like, no, we don't want 2 dead dogs.
Yeah.
We want to hold space with our families, with our friends, with our lives, wherever they are, without needing for us to dive in and be at that same level. See, that's the other side of it. When we make those empowered choices that enliven us and enrich us and give us joy, we have so much to share with them. We don't have to dive down to them. We can hold space that maybe perhaps they can rise up a little higher, so that your compassion with your friend who's in mourning over her dog gives her a place to clear, to cleanse, to open up, and to feel gratitude, instead of everybody diving down and having a pity party together, right? Either one of those is a valid choice.
Yes.
Which one's going to bring more joy, and which one's going to not only bring personal joy, but create that in the world around you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Kristen, I'm really excited to have you share with us information about your new book.
Oh, yay!
So powerful. I have one myself. And what it can do in helping others work towards their joy and find their joy and make good choices. Please share that information with us.
Thank you. Absolutely. So yeah, I wrote a book. Here it is. Planning for Success. Planning for Success, a 6-week planner harnessing the science of yoga to help you recreate your life, set your goals, and manifest your intentions. The most important thing I think about being able to set your goals, recreate your life, and manifesting your intentions is knowing what the heck they are, right? You cannot go towards anything unless you decide this is what I'm going to go towards. And then you allow your life to line up around that. So this process, I wrote this book actually as a course. It's not just a read-along book at the bedside. It's an actual proactive living course. And it's a 6-week program, which requires the participants to take 5 minutes every day, 10 minutes, whatever it is, and engage in a process that allows them introspection so that we can become our own litmus test for knowing if our choices in that moment, in that day, or in the big scheme of our life are serving us, or if they're just a distraction or a default.
Yes.
So let's say that, and the one that I like to use a lot of is one of the days in here, I don't remember what day it is, but one of the days in here is about patience. So a lot of times I'll hear women say like, oh, I just need more patience with my children. I need more patience with my husband. I need more patience with myself. I get frustrated. I get overwhelmed. I'm doing all these things and I just don't feel like there's any time for me. Like, how do I do that, right? So there's a day actually here for patience. And invariably, my participants tell me and share with me that the day they got the patience practice was the day they most needed the patience. Because that was the day that it was trying them on their last nerve. And they had to remember that the reward for patience is patience. Patience doesn't come to you like a nice little wrap gift from Tiffany's. Patience comes to you from standing in line at the DMV while you have to pee. Right? That's when you're like, oh my God, I just got to get to this moment because if I lose my place in line, I'm going to have to stand here for another hour. Like, it comes when it's not convenient. Yeah. It comes when it's not easy. Patience comes as a choice to be in that present moment, to recognize, honor it, not try to escape it or roll your eyes and make drama with everyone else around it, because it's not their problem you have to pee and your shoes are too tight. That was your choice, right? Had that giant latte before you showed up, right? So, but you have to be responsible for it in some way. And
Yeah.
that's when that moment of patience comes in. And that's when we get to laugh at ourselves and say, you know what? I'm going to take off these shoes. I'm going to ask the old lady behind me if she'll just hold my space. I'll take care of myself. I'll come back and I'll be present. Then you have choices.
Yes.
And so this process allows us to get insight into the kind of choices we're making as default versus the types of choices we'd like to make as our power. And as you go through 6 weeks of this, in the yogic world, we say it takes 40 days to break a habit. Mm-hmm. And we oftentimes will kind of start with the great intentions. Yeah, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to, really work on my degree, or I'm going to get that education, whatever it is. And then around week 2 or week 3, something happens and it gets oh, it's really hard and I'm tired, I didn't get enough sleep, and oh, I just really want another chocolate or cookie or whatever it is. And we make ourselves stop doing the forward momentum.
Yeah.
And so staying with the program is in and of itself part of the lesson. So you start to see, where do I procrastinate? Where do I, cut myself off at the knees? Where do I encourage myself? How do I dig deeper? Where do I find my own practice within whatever it is patience is teaching me, whatever being my breath is teaching me, whatever learning this mudra teaches me? What does this teach me? It's not silliness. It's an actual 5,000-year-old science. Yoga practice is not just being able to do pretty postures on a mat and look like a pretzel. That is the smallest amount of yoga possible. The true essence of yoga is the balance within ourselves in the moment of challenge, using the body as the vehicle of understanding and expressing and feeling it, and then translating it out into the line. So your moment of balance, your moment of patience is present with you at the line, at the checkout stand, at the grocery store, when the little old lady in front of you can't find her glasses. I mean, like that's when your yoga comes into play. Yes. So when we can couple that 5,000-year-old science of how the brain works, how affirmation works, how our journaling practice works, how our belief in ourselves works, and then couple that with the anchoring process of this physical body, miracles happen. It's like, I don't know what the miracle is for each individual person, but stuff moves, stuff changes, and I've seen lives change.
Oh, wow. That is so fun. What triggered you to create this fantastic book, Kristen?
Well, I was approached to create a college course for an online university. And so, there was sort of like a deadline, because for me, I like to work under a deadline. For me, the deadline happened, like if I know that this is my line in the sand, I will, make things come up to meet it, right? So I had this deadline of getting this college course ready for September 1st, so they could be like in the curriculum in August, so they could have it ready to go, right? So I worked all summer, and I had, my team helped me out, and people who are better at certain computer things than I am, and we just worked out this course. I literally printed it up on my home computer as like a proof, and bound it on like a little wire thing just to have a proof. The ink hasn't even dried on my copy yet. And I got an email from the administrator of the college, and she said, hold the phone. We just lost our licensure. We're having to go through a whole new process again. We'll get back to you. And I was like, okay, well, I just spent 3 months doing this for nothing. No,
oh my gosh.
Nothing. It was because I needed to then take it, reformat it, and put it out into a book version. So what did I do? I went to Amazon, I printed it up, and then I started teaching it. And I had a course right away within the first month, had a full course of 12 people on it, like in it. And I did 2 courses at a time, a weekend and then an evening or an afternoon, and 2 different time periods. People went through, and I just started collecting data from people. Like, how was your experience? What did you learn? What did you start with? What did you think you were going to get? What did you actually get? What's your takeaway? What did you want? And I started kind of collecting data from their experiences. And then I saw that something bigger than what I had actually realized was happening. And so I just listened to that voice, that prompt from the universe of, hey, make a course. Okay. And then it turned out to be something I didn't intend originally, but it was better than I could have asked for.
Yes, you listened, you did it, and you're changing lives, Kristen.
Well, they're changing the lives. I just hold space for their lives to change, right? So the people are doing their own work, but I create the framework that they can. It's kind of like I create the shape of the pool that they're going to swim in, but they get to decide how they're going to swim, or if they're going to sink, or if they're going to get out of the pool. Like, you have that choice. But so I start this course. It's on my website. People can go, they can join in. I have I do video also downloads that people can also get. They can either do live coaching with me, which kind of gives like the extra added sauce where we can, do these live group calls and these, some people come in person and some people we work virtually, but where I can give real feedback in real time. It's like a mastermind group of what's stuck, what's in your way, or what elevated you that we can then amplify for the group. But then I also send out videos that I've created. They're 15, 20 minutes each that have a discussion based upon each individual week's lesson, and then guide people through a meditation to help them solidify for themselves more deeply what that lesson meant for them. So it becomes that sort of with you practice. I mean, people can just buy the book on Amazon or on my website and just do it now on their own. You can buy the Kindle version. I'm working on an Audible download that you can listen to, so you can listen to it that way. So there's a lot of different ways you can interact with it. But the more you give into your investment of yourself, right, the more you're going to get back.
Yeah. So. Well, I remember, Kristen, years ago when we met, I signed up for a course of yours. I was so scared I felt so challenged. I'm going to be a radio host. And the confidence you gave me, just the ability to look at myself and believe in myself. It was tremendous. It was tremendous.
Thank you, Goddess. I love being a mentor. I love being a guide. I love being a teacher. I love being a coach, because I believe that when my world is successful, my community is successful, our whole world is successful.
Yeah.
Because now look what you've done with that. Look what you have taken out of those, that we did a 12-month mentorship program. I mean, you invested your time, your energy, your being into it, and you're like, I'm going to change my life. And you then did it. You didn't just talk about it. You freaking picked up the phone and made it happen. You showed up with me. You showed up with yourself. You showed up in the world. And now you've kept evolving your practice. Sometimes it just takes that mentor or that teacher to help you define your choice, so that you can then refine your choice, and then you can then create it in the world around you.
Yes.
And that's all I do. I help you define and refine those choices so that you, Paula Vail, or anybody else, has power to do whatever you want with it. And I love what you've done with it. I love how you keep growing. And I can't wait to be on the inauguration of your 5th show or your 25th show or whatever it is, because that is what you've chosen and you've made it happen. So rock on to you.
Doors, thank you. Thank you. Doors open. I love it. I'm just so grateful. We connect who we're meant to connect with. And I would love to have you share with everyone. You also do so much as far as a Reiki teacher. Would you like to touch on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I really
love it so much.
I really do. And that's one of the things that you and I share deeply is that love of the energy. And I think that Reiki has, it's one of those things. I think people have this concept that Reiki is like, oh, I'm just going to put my hands on someone and give them energy. And you can, and that's true. And it's lovely. But Reiki is like this secret stealth bomb of rapid spiritual development. And that's what I've discovered with my practice. And that's what I teach my students is how to use this energy like a jetpack underneath them to rapidly empower their goals, fuel their passions, clear the junk behind them, and really elevate and amplify what they want. And it's Reiki's no joke, man. It's not just like, oh, a little putting the hands on. When you really get into what Reiki is, it is like, it's huge. And it's actually, again, I've been in the personal development and the spiritual, training practice and shamanism for 25 years. Nothing I have worked with has assisted me as powerfully and as deeply as Reiki actually has, because it just cuts right through everything else. Energy doesn't care. Energy is going to go to the core. It's going to go to the heart. And when we allow that to happen, we can just blossom in so many ways.
Oh,
yeah. I love sharing that with you. Thank you. And Paula, thank you for letting me be a guest on your show today. Thank you for allowing me to spend time with you today and to connect with your audience. I know that people are going to be watching you, listening to you, learning with you. And I hope that dialogue stays open. And I look forward to being able to, come back at any time.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored, Kristen. And I'm just so grateful for all of the viewers today being part of this first show. I'm so grateful, and we'll see you with many more shows to come.
Yay, thank you. Yes, definitely. Connect with Paula here on her show. Ask questions, email her, ask questions, email me, come to my site, www.kristeneykel.com. Come find us, let us be of support with you, because, this is what we do, right? We support our community.
Yes,
we show up, and that's what we love to do. And that's what teachers like Paula are doing. And so thank you, Paula, for offering this forum for people to show up.
Oh, thank you so much. And love, hugs, and blessings, Kristen. To everyone out there, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you. I think I got it. Okay, I paused it. Or is it playing?